Hey everyone, welcome back to Endless Money Pits. This is my 2016 Honda CBR500R, and today I'll show you how to install a new drive chain and sprockets with a rivet-style master link. The chain and sprockets should be replaced as a set when any part of them is worn out or damaged, but they can last a long time if properly maintained. The chain and sprockets on this bike are still in good condition after 10,000 miles of riding, but I'm replacing them anyway as part of my preparation for a road trip to California. I don't want to have any issues while I'm away from home, and I've been meaning to upgrade to a chain with a rivet-style master link anyway. I ordered a rear sprocket with 2 extra teeth based on a recommendation that it would make the bike more fun, but I'll give my opinions on that in a future video. This job isn't very complicated, but it does take some time, so let's get to it. Here are the tools that I used for this job. Breaker bar, a couple torque wrenches, socket wrench, short socket extension, 24mm socket, 19mm socket, 14mm socket, 19mm wrench, 14mm wrench, 12mm wrench, 10mm ratcheting wrench, 5mm hex bit, needle nose pliers, bent nose pliers, flathead screwdriver, plastic mallet, measuring tape, impact driver, chain tool, and an angle grinder. For this job I also needed a motorcycle stand, a stool, a light, rubber gloves, padded gloves, earplugs, safety glasses, chain brush, waterproof grease, a face shield, kerosene, a spray bottle, some rags, some tape, chain lube, some cardboard to work on, and a new chain and sprocket set. There are links in the description for everything I used. You only need a rear stand for this, but I put the bike on 2 stands because I was doing some other work at the same time. I used a 19mm wrench and a 24mm socket on a breaker bar to remove the axle nut, but I don't think I really needed the 19 to hold the other side. Gently tap the axle free and support the rear wheel as you pull the axle from the swing arm. Some things may fall on the ground. Roll the wheel forward so you can move the chain out of the way and remove the wheel. Using a piece of cardboard to protect the brake disc, I used an impact driver with a 19mm socket to remove the nuts securing the rear sprocket. Clear away any debris before installing the new sprocket. Any logos or writing on the sprocket should face outward. Secure it with the 5 locking nuts and torque each of them to 80 foot-pounds. By the way, you can now support the channel by purchasing this awesome design available in a t-shirt, long sleeve, and a hoodie, and in a bunch of different colors as well. Check for a link in the description below. When you took the wheels off, you might have noticed these metal collars fall onto the ground. They're like spacers that keep the wheels centered. These 2 go on the front, and these 2 on the rear. The collars and axle should be cleaned and re-greased before the wheels go back on the bike. Some of them look like they have a little wear, but I can't feel any physical grooves. Make sure to clean off any contaminants from the brake rotor surface and wipe any debris out from where the collars go. Install the rear collars as shown. Insert both chain tensioners before installing the axle. And don't forget these plates. When you lift the wheel, make sure the brake rotor goes between the brake pads. If the brake pads are too close together, you might need to pry them apart. Some wood blocks would have been helpful to support the wheel while installing the axle, so add that to the list of things that would have made this easier. I had to use some tape to keep this chain tensioner from falling out. Once you get the wheel, collars, chain tensioners, swing arm, brake caliper, and all 9 planets into alignment, you can get the axle started and gently tap it through with a plastic mallet if needed. Wipe off any grease that got onto the threads of the axle. If your chain has a clip-style master link, you should be able to pry it apart like this. If you have a riveted master link, skip ahead to this timestamp for removal instructions. The chain can now be removed. To remove the front sprocket cover, we'll have to disconnect the shifter linkage, but you'll want to put the bike in gear first. Make sure to mark the orientation before disconnecting this piece if it hasn't been marked already. The cover is held on with 2 screws that can be removed with a 5mm hex. I used a set of bent nose pliers to push this band clip out from behind. One more band clip and the cover should come free. Remove the chain guide and clean it along with the sprocket cover if needed. I forgot to leave the bike in gear, but my impact driver was able to remove the bolt anyway. Clean the area and add some waterproof grease before installing the new sprocket. Count the number of links on the new chain to make sure it's the same length as the old chain, or the correct length for your new sprocket sizes before putting the new chain in place. Now I'll get the new master link ready. It came with a packet of grease for coating the O-rings and rivets. Put one O-ring on each rivet and run it through the chain from the backside. Use the other two O-rings on the front side and follow the directions that came with your chain tool to press on the outer plate. Make sure the plate is going on perfectly straight, or you could damage the master link. When you do feel resistance, stop right away. You don't want the link to get too tight and bind up. Now I'll switch to the attachment that spreads the end of the rivet securing the chain. Again, it shouldn't be too tight. I had to put the bike in gear before I could torque the front sprocket bolt. This bolt should be torqued to 40 foot-pounds. Replace the chain guide with this point facing down. Then reinstall the sprocket cover as shown. Reconnect the shifter linkage so that it matches the mark you made. Since I ordered a bigger sprocket for the rear, I used an online chain length calculator to figure out how long my chain should be, but the chain I ordered turned out to be too long because they didn't count the master link in the total chain length, which is really stupid. I should have checked the chain slack before securing the master link, and because I didn't, I had to order a new master link for $22.45 and wait a week for it to arrive. At least the chain wasn't one link too short, or it would have been a much more expensive mistake. But to look on the bright side, now I can show you how to remove a rivet-style master link. With the bike still in gear to keep the wheel from moving, I used an angle grinder to grind off the rivets on the two links I needed to remove. Since I needed to remove the master link and one more link, I really only needed to grind off the first and last rivets of those links. I also probably should have had the handle connected to the angle grinder for safety, but I was wearing a face shield, safety glasses, earplugs, and gloves. Be careful not to damage the adjacent links. This was actually my first time using an angle grinder, so hopefully you can do a better job than I did.
Not ideal. Kind of scratched that one a little bit, and kind of scratched that one a little bit. But they'll be okay.
Now I'll use the chain tool to push out the rivets. If you skipped ahead to see this part of the video, you can get back on track by going to this timestamp. Before I could install the new master link on my newly shortened chain, I had to adjust the rear wheel forward. With the axle still loose, loosen the lock nuts on each chain adjuster, then loosen each adjusting nut an equal amount of turns to keep the wheel straight while moving it. The chain should be adjusted so that it has 1.4 to 1.8 inches of slack measured at the bottom portion of the chain halfway between the front and rear sprockets. Once you have the chain tension within spec, hold the adjusting nuts and tighten the lock nuts to 15 foot-pounds. I usually just do it by feel. The chain wear indicator should no longer be in the red zone. The axle nut should be torqued to 65 foot-pounds. I didn't seem to need a wrench to hold the other end of the axle, but if you do, it's a 19mm. I pumped the rear brake to make sure it still had good pressure before taking the bike for a short test ride and checking the chain slack one more time. New chains come with a light coat of grease that isn't good for much more than preventing rust during shipping, and a little lubrication for a shakedown ride, but it really should be cleaned off and replaced with your favorite chain lube as soon as possible. Kerosene with a chain brush works great for cleaning chains. It's safe to use on the rubber O-rings, it's cheap, and you can find it anywhere. Make sure to put down some rags to catch all the gunk that falls to the ground. After the chains had time to thoroughly dry, apply your favorite chain lube to the rollers, making sure not to get any on the tire or the brakes, and wipe off the excess. I have a lot more videos covering these Honda 500 series motorcycles, so check those out before you go. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe for more of the best DIY videos on the internet. And until next time, just keep throwing money at it.